U.S. Defense Secretary Robert Gates is in China, where he's meeting with Chinese officials ahead of Chinese President Hu Jintao's visit to the United States. On the agenda, of course, are North Korea and regional security issues and Iran. But underlying the talks is a stronger concern between the United States and China, and that is about Chinese maritime development. One of the main purposes of the meetings, at least officially, is to showcase that the United States and China are once again talking militarily. This dialogue is seen as beneficial by both sides, but for political reasons, every time the United States makes a defense purchase or defense sale to the Taiwanese, the Chinese feel they have to shut down talks for 2 months, 3 months, 6 months. This interruption of the dialogue has been seen as somewhat damaging to the establishment of better relationships, but also the ability of each side to maintain a closer watch of what's going on in the other country. Gates is going to visit South Korea and Japan after his trip to China. The U.S. allies in the region are watching very cautiously as the Chinese expand some of their activities in the region and trying to understand why the Chinese seem to be such staunch defenders of North Korea for very clear North Korean aggression recently. They're going to be asking Gates to explain a little bit more about what he heard in China, and Gates is going to be trying to work on a unified response between the United States, the South Koreans, and the Japanese to Chinese activities in the region. There's been a lot of talk recently about the Chinese military improvements, about Chinese development of anti-ship ballistic missiles, talk and rumors out of the Japanese press of the Chinese removing their non-first strike nuclear policy. And these have raised a lot of concerns, not only in the region, but globally and certainly in the United States. The Chinese have shifted recently their attention, though, from what traditionally was a focus on their ground forces to a focus on more modern technology, and particularly on creating greater standoff distance on their coast. The Chinese have a long-standing policy of building defensive buffers around their core territory. This is part of why the Chinese hold Tibet, why the Chinese are in Xinjiang. The maritime frontier is now where they see the most security threat and where they see themselves needing to push out. This runs square into a U.S. strategic imperative of maintaining secure and clear open sea lanes, because the United States feels it vital to be able to position itself anywhere on the globe in case of conflict, and also to preempt conflict from coming to the United States. What we now see is that as China grows economically, as China feels it's more secure politically, it's pushing its own regional interests, and those interests are pushing square against what would be a strategic imperative for the United States. What we're watching for now is how the United States and the Chinese play Gates' visit. There's often differences in the emphasis that they put on it, and that will let us know whether the two sides have come to a better understanding or whether they seem to be moving further and further apart on this contentious issue.